Hello and welcome to Collaborate Online's instructional video on the approval process. Now we'll just navigate to our Home tab here and talk through the settings features before we begin to create an approval. So go along to settings and now to task configuration, and here you can see the workflow task types that have been built out within the system at the moment. We're going to go to the approval task type, and here you can see that we've already got a basic approval task type built in the system. Now this is quite simple here. These are the various task types that we build out and the various workflows. Obviously here we have within this a very simple single action workflow. Here we can see this is just an approval design title. There is a deadline that will be matching the deadline set for the approval itself. We've got a default assignee here of Stephen, and we are allowing this user to change the status of the documents once the approval has been completed, and it only requires one user to create this approval. So that's a very basic approval that's been set up within the system. What we'll do now is build out a more complex approval process from scratch. So going back to the top here, we can go to Add Templates. We'll call this Multi-Person Approval, and we can now from within here create specific actions that can be assigned to users. So the first one we'll do is we'll just call this Approval Design Team, where the design team themselves could actually approve this. We'll set this to be 3 days before the deadline is due to be completed, giving this time to progress to the next stage. If we wish to, we could add a description here. We're not going to allow these users to sign off and change the status of these documents. We're getting them to review them, and then it progress further down, as we'll show as we create that. And what I'll set this up to do, we can set the completion type where it would require all users or one user to review this. We'll have it so only one user has to complete this action approval, and we'll assign this to several users in the design team. They will all have the email notifications when they're assigned to this, and this is a default assignment now, so this user will get the default assignees, or these users will get the default assignees when it's created. Hit continue. You can see we've got the design team approval now. What we would then need to progress is a second stage of approval, and we'll create that here. We can call this director approval. We'll set this for the deadline date, which is set when you build out your deadline. We could of course there mark a description if we wish to. We will allow the document status to change, and here we require one user to complete it, but it's only ever going to be this one user. The director Adam will confirm this, and if we continue now, we can see we have now got 2 stages of an approval process. The design team will approve that, and that goes to 3 users in the design team. It would then progress without the status changing to the director level approval, and this director then has the ability to change this status and mark this approval as complete. Once you have set up your approval process, you then need to assign it to your desired project. Here we are in our O2 project here. We're going to go across to Settings, down to Tasks, and you can see the familiar list of task types that we previously looked at in the system. We have approvals at the top. We'll now add that to this project, which will enable us to go next to the Features tab and enable these features on the desired folders. Now you could simply just select all here, which we will do. We're now assigning the permission for all approvals, or rather allowing approvals functionality on every single folder within the system.